Raise your hand if you're teaching multiple Spanish levels and feeling completely overwhelmed. Hi, I'm Catherine from Cosmic Teaching, and there have been years where I have planned 8 different Spanish levels. Yes, profe, 8 different levels. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I do it without losing my sanity. So, if you have ever tried to create completely different lessons for every single Spanish class, you know it is exhausting. My coffee glass is empty, but we're all going to need extra coffees if we're planning for all these different levels. So, I used to spend hours prepping, planning, and copying different materials for each level. No more. I even tried different seating arrangements, thinking it would solve my problems, and moving desks between classes. Spoiler alert, that doesn't work. So I found some solutions that changed everything for me, and I'm going to share them with you. Bueno, let's talk about your routines. Here's your first secret. Routines are your mejor amigo. Empezar las clases, todas las clases, de la misma manera, súper fácil. So if you start your class with the same type of routine, the same type of check-in, it's going to make everything so easy. Whether you are starting Spanish 1 and then next block you have Spanish 4, no pasa nada. We're going to start our classes with the same routines to keep it easy for us and make it simple. So for example, I might ask my students, ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué hiciste ayer? For my Spanish 1 students, I might give them some vocab on the board. For my Spanish 2 and up, we might be having this conversation totally in Español. This does 2 things. It immediately engages my students and it makes my planning ridiculously easy. Okay, I can literally use the same opening activity for all of my classes, all of my levels. It doesn't have to be super complicado. You could also, if you like the structured daily themes, you could stick with structured daily themes. Like, por ejemplo, I've seen Música Martes or Jaja Jueves, where you're sharing a joke with all your classes. It could be the same joke at every level. It could be the same song at every level. It doesn't have to be anything extra. It doesn't have to be review. Your opening activity doesn't have to be review. It can be. I like to do review as well, but sometimes I just need something easy. And so when I need something easy, I stick with the same routine for all of my classes. Secreto número dos, structure. Structure isn't just good for you, it's essential for our students. When students know what to expect, they learn to trust the routine. And if they learn to trust the routine, they learn to trust us and they know that they can depend on us. So, no surprise quizzes, no unexpected activities that push them too far outside their comfort zone. Keep it simple, keep it structured, keep it supportive. So for me, my typical class structure looks like a check-in and chat, like I mentioned earlier, reviewing or introducing new material, giving students some practice time, maybe reteach, correction, quick teaching moment, followed by more practice. And then maybe we are reviewing work that they've done together and then saying goodbye. And yes, my students always say adios, hasta luego, nos vemos, chao before leaving every day. That's a routine that I teach them into during the first week of school. And it's super helpful for me because they know class is over. It's super helpful for them because they get that consistency, right? Okay. Bueno, I mentioned this earlier, but here's your secreto número tres. The same activities with different content. Okay. So here's when magic happens. I use the same activities across all of my sections. So if Spanish 1 is doing clip chat, and Spanish 2 is also doing clip chat. If I have an inclusion group, they're also doing clip chat. My Spanish 4, also doing clip chat. My advanced literature class, also doing clip chat, right? But here's the key. The same activity doesn't mean the same lesson. So for example, maybe my Spanish 1, we do our check-in questions, we do a food vocabulary clip chat, we do practice with that vocabulary that they've seen, and then we are running through the rest of our routines. With my Spanish 2s, maybe we're doing our check-in questions, and then they are doing vacation vocabulary clip chat. And then we're doing practice with that vocabulary, and then we're doing all of our normal routines. Sounds like I'm doing the same thing. I am. I'm keeping the same structure with different content. So this way I can keep the same agenda on my board all day because you know your admin wants to see that. I could also keep the same objective on my board all day. even though I'm teaching my students different things in different levels, we're doing the exact same structure. I'm just changing the focus, right? Keeping that idea of structure, I could also use a weekly structure that's consistent. If you want to follow the same weekly pattern, you could start your Mondays with input and new vocabulary. You could work on retail and creative practice on Tuesdays. Wednesday could be filling gaps from those previous classes, maybe introducing new stories, new topics, new input. Thursday might be all about production, where your students are writing, speaking, drawing, showing off what they know. And then Friday, you're assessing them, whether that's a project, review activities, some sort of formative assessment. But this pattern can repeat week after week, unit after unit, and it can be different activities, but it makes your planning super predictable and it helps your students know what to expect. They know Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday they're going to be getting lots of new information, and they know Thursday and Friday are about showing off what they know. So if they know that, they know what they're missing when they're missing class, or they know what to expect when they walk in and say, "What are we doing today?" So everybody knows what to expect, and it keeps your planning super simple. By the way, if you're looking for a free planning resource, I have a free unit plan worksheet that you can grab down in the notes below. So go ahead and check out that free planning worksheet. And let's move on to our last secreto número cinco. Here's something that nobody talks about enough. Okay. And this one I know I need to work on. And if I need to work on it, I know you need to work on it because we all need to work on it. You have to take care of yourself. And I know you're thinking, Catherine, what does this have to do with my planning? What does this have to do with my classes? You're a person before you are a teacher. Okay. You cannot pour into your classes if you're exhausted, right? You can't plan effective classes if you're tired. So when you model self-care, you're teaching your students to prioritize themselves, and you're also giving yourself the space to disconnect, the space to think creatively, whether you choose yoga, dinner over lesson planning and grading. Remember, you're a person before you're a teacher. And your students need breaks too. It's okay to have a movie day or to pull out some cultural readings or to take a reflection week. The school that I was working at recently, we used to have a reflection week after every unit and I loved it. My students got a break, I got a break, everybody got the opportunity to catch up and to review, and it was just a breath of fresh air, right? They're still learning. I know we're all like, learn, learn, learn. They're still learning. It's just in a different way. And you're teaching them to take care of themselves, and you're also taking care of yourself. So here's what we're going to do next. Remember, planning multiple Spanish levels doesn't have to be overwhelming, but the keys are strong routines, using the same activities with different content, following those weekly structures, and taking care of yourself and showing students to take care of themselves too. If you want more strategies for making Spanish teaching less stressful, follow along and check out my course Más Español Menos Estrés. The link is in the description below. I also have tons of ready-to-use Spanish resources on TPT that follow these exact principles. So I would also love for you to share what is your biggest challenge with planning multiple levels. Drop your comment below. I read every single one and I love chatting with Spanish teachers. So don't forget to subscribe for more teaching tips and check out this video where I share how to plan any lesson in 30 minutes or less. Ciao, profe.